Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Trace Elements Radio, live on, of course, traceelementsradio.com, Revolution Radio Studio 8. Good morning, everybody. And whoever else may be listening and all that kind of thing. How you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. I have to tell you that in Canada right now, well, not all over Canada, Ontario, that April is drunk and needs to go home. we have snow. Now, I always had snow on my birthday when I was a kid. We haven't for a couple of years, but it looks like we're going to have that. Although, if you go west, you have 30 degrees and 28 degrees. So, I'm a little jealous. But I'd be complaining about it, saying, the weather's too wrong. I have this picture up on my Facebook page of my stepdad out with the weed whacker on Christmas Eve. Because I guess there were weeds to be whacked. We had no snow. It was really mild. And then shoveling yesterday. No shoveling today, but there's snow underground, so there's that. I have to give you a heads up too. FEMA is going to perform a full-scale exercise at a nuclear power plant. Here comes the cops, they're ready. So it will be this week. We'll analyze the response for radiological release in the Seabrook Station. Seabrook Station, New Hampshire, has been having problems for a while. They've been having problems. So two things. First of all, any kind of exercise now has its preordained false flag, so be prepared for that, probably on Friday. The plant's been having problems. We've mentioned it several times before. So either they're going in there to clean up a mess that's already ongoing, or they're actually just going to pretend to clean up a mess. So anyway, this full-scale training exercise at Next Air Energy Seabrook Station nuclear plant, located in Seabrook, will be April 8th, my birthday. Exercise organized by FEMA, U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, state and local emergency management officials. So get ready for them announcing sometime. Now it starts around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Watch for these signposts, because at the end of the exercise, at the Courtyard Marriott's Seacoast Ballroom in Portsmouth, it will end. So there may be a shooting there, an emergency there. So these two sites specifically we need to watch out for, although within a 10-mile radius of the plant, there will be all kinds of things going on. Emergency operations during the exercise, according to the press statement, which everyone will forget that we said. So remember that I said that's Friday something's up. Friday something's up energetically also. Another alignment. So I wouldn't freak out about it, but that's going to happen. I have some really exciting news. My father, Harrison Kennedy, a lot of the music that you hear on my station, officially Juno Award winner for Blues Album of the Year. I have bought the album, and as soon as I get it, it's being mailed. Because, I want to support too. I'm going to play it for you on the station. It's called This Is From Here. It's really good. I'm so proud of him. You know, the years that Dad worked since he was a kid in music, he's rarely been recognized in his own country. You know, Dad's 73 now, so it feels really, really good to at least hear this. You know, Motown ripped him off. He sold millions of albums, records, like we used to call them. And it was never mentioned here in Canada. So this is really good. I'm excited for him, and made me think about healing the bloodlines, because someone asked me, and keep those coming too, guys. If you go to Trace Elements Radio, on the left hand side you see a contact form, and feel free to go ahead and contact me with questions or ideas or whatever you'd like to hear about. It made me think of totems, though, because we are experiencing something major on this planet right now. I told you 2016 was going to be big. When we look at what our ancestors actually knew, not the stuff that was forced on them later, there are some deep ancient knowledge here. So a totem, the Ojibwe, Totem, spirit being, yes, sacred object, yes, a symbol. It serves as an emblem of the people, such as a family or a clan or a lineage or a tribe. It's more than that, though. The ancient people knew way before science is still trying to sort this out. Our lineage on this planet and off. That's why with some totems you will see a bird figure, or either a reptile or a giant sea mammal or turtle sort of thing. Two ways into this planet, from above or from below. And they knew they were related to these animals. This wasn't just myth here. This was actual knowledge. Now, I know people get mad when you say evolution, but these animal spirits are family. Our people knew this. Now, while the term totem is Ojibwe, the belief in these kind of spirits and deities are not limited to the first peoples of the Americas. It's common worldwide. Africa, Arabia, Asia, Australia, Europe, the Arctic. We all knew this. Traditional people of these cultures have words, of course, for their own guardian spirits in their own languages. They do not call these spirits or symbols. They look at them as family. They also sometimes show how they got here and from what planet. Talks about how to get there. And you can look at these totems and find out their direct lineage, even off-world. And we've talked about spirit beings and these things. People knew what they were. They knew that they were family. They knew that they were related to beings here. Now, you'll notice in totems, and I have some pictures up, they're very beautiful. Some places just put one totem on it, like a whale, for instance. When we look at the size of a soul, the larger the animal, the bigger the soul. And as it's going to descend down, there's going to be a lot of people who feel that animal, and are related to them. We know we're related to everything on this planet. This did not happen by accident. This is real family lineage. Interestingly enough, and we're going to have to do a whole show on this, and I'll grab Two Dog for this one. In Africa, one of the oldest gods, and we've been looking at lineages, and they don't look at this being as a god, per se. It's a bee. A bee. Small, so size doesn't matter. And this god was one of he caused problems. Now, as we've spoken of before, the beings that come here to this earth and leave their mark on us, spiritually, physically, sometimes I can even see this in people. I can usually tell family lineage. And as we've talked about before, I know I don't do it much, but this means an animal lineage as well. And this is the mark. This is the exact mark of the beast that you are related to. Now, I realize when we talk about totems, we look at it as neo-shamanistic, new age, this mytho-poetic man's movement. But this is a real thing, and our people knew this. And of course, it told you not just who your family was, it told you your strengths, your weaknesses. It's why names were so important. It's why our newly made English language doesn't have the power of the old languages, that they didn't just say your name. They said your family relation. They said something about you. For instance, and it's really interesting. I don't talk about this much, but my English name, when you take it into pieces, is basically my Haitian name. And it's basically my Mohawk name. Named separately, of course. People at that time did not know they were calling me the same thing. But in the Mohawk one, it not only tells me, and it's a name that you're not supposed to say. This is old magic here. This was, you weren't supposed to say your secret name. Yes, there is a word that people called you, but there was something you were supposed to keep close, keep hidden, keep sacred. But that one actually tells me the time of day that I need to be out in the sun. It's actually pre-sun, so very interesting. Tells me about my strengths, tells me about my weaknesses, and this is the power of what our people knew. And it's not just one people, it's all the people that we knew this, and they took it away from us. It's one of the things that I think is most important knowledge for now, because we're having some oh my god events right now. Massive extinctions, planetary wise, since the 70s. We've lost almost half species on this planet since the 70s. That's major. We go up north, the far, far north, and there is the Greenland ice sheet. It's about three times the size of Texas, about 1.7 million square kilometers. It's about to break off. This will change global sea levels. This will change the salt levels of the waters. I won't go into it too much, but as we've been talking about, there are massive, massive changes happening on this planet. Part of it, even the tilt of this planet, I can explain it to you because it's physically something about us. For instance, there are too many right-handed people on this planet. It should be 50-50. It should be half left-handed, half right-handed. We have these two hands. If it was balanced, the world would not be tilted. And I realize in every planet right now they are going through catastrophic changes. We're not going through the catastrophic changes that every other planet in this solar system is. We're having some hard times. The crusts are changing. The water levels are changing. The life on this planet is changing dramatically. But these are ripple effects through time. And part of the reason why this planet isn't going through the horrific changes is us too. It's us too. Basically, what's going on now is we've been taught to hide from ourselves. Most of what we're told is we should be losing ourselves to a religion, to an idea, to a country, a government. But a government is supposed to govern you. You're not going to get a good one. You're not. What I say, what I ask you to do is you need to find yourself instead. Another question I got was about twin souls. We've heard about this term. There's many different terms for this thing. Is there another person that's your other half? This is the division again. And if you have another person who has a half, they have a half, you have a half, so you're both divided. By putting two divided people together, do you get a whole, or do you get something even more fragmented that is going to self-destruct? I'm leaning towards that. We need to become whole in ourselves before we present ourselves to anyone else. How can we raise children well on this planet with morals and empathy and higher levels of intelligence? How can we do that when our basic idea of what romance is wrong? You are not looking for your other half. You're not. And of course, when we even talk about totems and how we are divided, if these beings were usually really big in ancient times, and we've seen that. We've talked about the giants that are proven, not a myth, that everything was giant. That when you divide it and divide it and divide it, they become much less. We are at a time that we are much less than our ancestors, who, it's proven, were larger. Because we've lost something. We've divided ourselves over and over and over again. Maybe that was the plan. Maybe we really wanted that. To look at ourselves in every possible way. But we have to. We don't have to. We can stay like this, smashing and banging into each other, forcing this world into the fear state. I think it's the most difficult job, it seems anyway, that one can have these days. The most difficult job is working with humanity. But in turn, it's also the most rewarding. The ability to change a person's life for the better is something that takes you great effort, contemplation. You must go through the trials, like Hercules. The labor. You must put in the labor. Dad did not get this Juno because he was lazy. You have to work for it. And the work that we need isn't just mental. It's physical. It's spiritual. We have to pull those things together. It's time for us to pull ourselves together, I think. It takes contemplation and courage and patience, but above all, it takes persistence. Even if you get knocked down, you get back up. And I've discovered what's holding many people back from reaching this: freedom. Setting aside for the moment higher states of consciousness, which is, of course, powerful. We need to look in. So I've taken to doing my best at dismantling all of these stumbling blocks, all of these lies that face us. And it becomes our common integer. Within all of our perceived difficulties, to tear down all the walls that divide us. And it's a major feat to reach. I understand this. I also realize that many people believe they're from something that is off-world, so they are alien. I understand this too, and I'm not saying that you're not related to beings off-world. We know for a fact that we are related to dust particles in space. The dust particles, like the dust particles here, are what make you up. So, to know the truth as much as we can. My mind never stops calculating, ciphering, tumbling. It's a gift. It's also a curse. I make myself crazy. You probably are too. And to know the truth, you get put through constant obstacles, especially when you try to talk about it. Things don't get easier. When you learn something, they get harder. They get scarier a little bit. So when I think of it assisting this planet, I think of doing it on the deepest levels. Because there are places, such as what you see above, that we can send and receive sustenance. More and more of Earth's heart needs soothing from able-bodied humans that have the energy to give, not just to pull energy when constantly asking for good fortune. Also looking for what you can receive rather than searching for what you can give. And I really thought about this when Dad won, because he was sitting there and he had been disappointed. This was his 6th nomination after years of not even being thought of in his own country. I'm the 7th generation of my people here on this continent. Can one person heal a family line? Because I know it sounds funny, it's just a freaking award. And we've talked about the Illuminati, and we've talked about what the music industry is. We've talked about all of these things. But I felt it. When Dad said it, he got up there, he was shaking. He was at a loss for words. And let me tell you, my father is not at a loss for words. Ever. You know, I thank him for his DNA. He's 73. He looks fantastic. I thank him for the stories that he told me. These are stories that I'm telling you. It started me on this path as maybe a teacher, maybe a storyteller, maybe they're the same thing. Dreamer. A dreamer for sure. That being recognized is what we all want. This is why so many of us search for our other. We want to be recognized here. And he's given and given and given. And for someone who's always felt disappointed, always been hurt when things like this come up, for once not getting hurt is amazing. It really is. That every time you look around you expect to be knocked down. A lot of our people are feeling this. Unfortunately, all of our people around the world are so used to getting hurt that sometimes we don't think that we can get through it to the other side. So doing this great work, I know I've made enemies. With a force that wishes to keep people stupid, pacified, stagnant, divided, hateful, without empathy. I saw this image that shook me to the core. And maybe it's weird that this affected me so much, but it did. I put up this image on my Facebook page. This man had raised a bull from birth, watched it being born, fed it, took care of it, and then sold the bull to be killed. In this horrific spectacle that I can't friggin' believe for the life of me still happens on this planet. See, I'm friggin' choking up about this. So as it was being tortured in the ring, it saw, they said its owner, but it was more than that. This man was supposed to protect this animal, be a caretaker for this animal. Walked over and the man kissed him and let him go back in the ring. He was scared. He was terrified. He wanted help. And to this man, this was just a thing to make money. He kissed it. It gave me such a knot in my stomach that I physically got sick after seeing the image. It wasn't that the image was bloody, it was the lack of feeling. I know what we're supposed to do here. It doesn't matter where your lineage is from. This is our mother. Look at the size of her. Can you imagine how big her soul is? She would have to have a massive soul to make so many beings. And we are not being the caretakers that we should be. We shouldn't be like this. To have one person that cold on this planet is such a horrific totem for us. If we have one this cruel. You know, when we had our elders taken care of on this planet, all tribes, when someone was sick, you didn't just beat them. You didn't just separate them. There would be men or women they could go to, and you would help them through it until they got their heart back. We've lost this with drugs and psychiatrists who aren't friends, who aren't family, who can't tell you what your totem is, can't tell you where you're from, can't tell you all the ways you could fall stray on your path. I have no problem with this level of fusion. I'm in motion, acting upon the universe as it acts upon me, you. And I'm not a computer. I don't take commands. I don't obey without question. And the hindering force works through division and time. People have fallen prey to any of these integers, knowingly or unknowingly act in disarray, often, and are easily possessed by being swayed to follow others who are just or more so clueless. They can never find it because it's within, and it will never be accessible to the profane. When I see the people acting like they are the new elders, you know, whether they slap a native caricature on themselves or a sign or a name, or regurgitate something that someone wrote hundreds or thousands of years ago and act like they know what it means, because they are so much more spiritual than we would ever be. And unfortunately right now we have, and have for quite some time, this movement that again usually attacks women between 25 and 50, especially ones in the middle class that have a little money and can spend $3,000 for an afternoon to talk to some a-hole guy who grows his hair long and pretends he knows what that means. And if you're really, really good and have kept your body tight, you might get him as a little parting gift after, but he won't love you. And these are supposed to be our teachers. They can't teach anything because you can hear it. You can hear it. And I'm not talking about the fake heart that's all love and light. And I'm not talking about the heavy hand that is just beating us down. I have this excerpt from an old Masonic book. It's called The Ebony Box. That the ebony box shows you, with scrupulous attention, you are to keep the secrets that have been confided to you, and which you are to observe in the closest of your heart, of which the box is an emblem. You are to reflect on the black color of the box. It will teach you to cover your secrets with a thick veil in such a manner that the profane, the Kawans, later became cowards, cannot possibly have any knowledge of. And I can't urge people enough to consider heavily that we just came off the age of secrets. And there are certain things about this planet and this universe that you have power to change in just one moment on the entire scale. And since you are a microcosmic universe, this also means it's inside you. So basically, they are trying to hide you from yourself. Lose yourself, they say. I ask you to find yourself. And it appears that if there are only a few at first who are of like mind, who are family again, the Fa, the good Father, people of like mind, that will still not support each other due to some particular finickiness, I guess, that always accompanies amazing people when it comes to how they perceive others. It is only a matter of time before that said faction will just dissolve. And a great deal of this reality was programmed to make us the police of each other. The buddy system. Am I my brother's keeper? They want you to be your brother's keeper, but not in a way that you protect him. Tattletale. Planet now. And people feel that they cannot keep themselves, or can't be themselves because of others. So they constantly pretend they cannot wear what they want at times, and in fear of being out of style. So they are constantly uniform. They can't believe that what they want to believe, in fear of being the outcast. So they say they stay cast out of the hidden world. That is not hidden, that is right there in your face. Our bodies tell us everything we need to know about the universe. Our people knew that. They even put up signposts for you. They even knew how to bend trees. You know, Dad talked about this when he was on with Chief Charles Two Dog and I have an image of it. The ancestors knew how to bend trees to say, go this way. No, it wasn't the Sasquatch. It was us saying, go this way. They wouldn't have to destroy the tree. They knew if you bent a tree in a certain way, it would grow a certain way and always point in a certain direction. Instead, we're encouraged to follow the masses, who are clearly walking off a freaking cliff right now. A cliff they can't even see. Number 0 and 22 on the tarot. Alas, if one could sit down for a moment and unpack all that power that you have within. And the reason many haven't done this is only because they've been conditioned to have someone else doing everything. Like a drive-through, rendering little assistance, even marveling that they can get it all for nothing. However, there's always two sides to a coin. A Kohen, which means priest. There's actually 3 sides, which we should be walking, but clearly the king always has an agenda. And it seems to have started at the time of the Khans. And they carry Ankhs, which is an anagram for Khans, like Genghis Khan, who are masters of birth and reincarnation cycles. They've been showing and telling how they see humans as servants. Are not the books riddled with how to be servants to the gods? So, I take very little example from myself, but instead look at the ancient records, previous generations. And to those, they have already ran this cycle. I watch how some promises were made to them of a better society and of a better afterlife by the same perpetrators that are now passing the same rhetoric off on us, so that we just wait and then perish to do it all again. I often wonder when all will realize that they only have one life each time, and now is the only moment one can do something that will leave an impact, that will send ripples through the universe, that will ultimately lead to their biorhythm being that of something unique. It is that which is unique that is preserved with the highest intent, and that which is a clone, like an artificial, that is easily forgotten, easily discarded, like plastic. And now even the droids are making it back to Africa before the people, because they are sending drones there. And people would rather be what? Something else than to say we're family, and that means we're related to the Africans. We are. We are. Now I think of all the things that I've learned, and how it brought joy at first and then sadness, as others could not see what I'm seeing. I work all the time, getting by the moment, creative, maybe in the way that I transcode this great discovery. Just something easier to understand, a more accessible format. But what can't be undone is that many have already been changed for the better, and it is irreversible. There is nothing that can be done to stop what we have done so far, the good things, and it changes and it ripples, or this planet would already be in rubbles. And I'm not saying that some places aren't, and that some of the people aren't suffering. Many are suffering. Too many are suffering. However, people must in turn reach out to what gave the knowledge to them, and only take up the duty to ensure that it remains available for the next companion, who is for the moment lost, I guess, in reality, seeking to gain bearing. The infertility that's going on is a lack of natural advancement and creativity, in addition to a spiritual connection that comes through tapping into what most are still clueless about, as they wander searching for something and not knowing what it is. And we can fix this. We can help. So the question has come up, where is all this going? And I feel obliged to answer that question. Simple. And we can make it very simple. We have already gone and continue to come back for each individual that is ready. This is similar to pulling people out of the matrix step by step. But we were never really in the matrix. Watch the movies again. What was in the matrix was the AI. We were being fed on. Smith was always the one. He was always the one that would go back in the matrix, not us. We were never in. We lived a fake life. Deluded life. And it just took us breathing in, breathing out. That's what that story was about. We even have access to the red pill, if you like. And this depends on teamwork. Should not just be the responsibility of one person or a small group. It's a big task. How long it will take still depends on how much assistance we get to make it happen faster. One thing you can be sure of, though, is as long as the knowledge is spreading and the tools are there, our goals will be met. We are fused together. Us. Even though we do remain separate, for the most part. People from various cultures, various ethnicities, we have merged the highest levels of spiritual knowledge that accompanies physical applications. Unfortunately, most networks out there only carry one or another, leaving a person incomplete. We all have special abilities, many of which are just lying dormant. How many times do they have to keep saying we found a new thing in your DNA? We have everything we need. Our mother has been good to us. We've just been told not to see it. And it still ultimately requires something that is conveyed or done that awakens this hidden potential. We have to decide what we want and go for it individually, and it does, of course, affect everyone else. And I'm aware of this, that I've been pouring through all the systems of knowledge looking for what will affect you, what you will hear from me. Hundreds and hundreds of shows I've done over the years. Sometimes I was doing 7 shows a week. Sometimes more than one a day. Hardly have any listeners, so know if you're listening, it's for you. I don't. My YouTube hardly gets any hits. People seldom go back and listen to the archives that I put up. But I know for everyone, it may be something different that they need. So I constantly try to look for a trigger or a keyword that will start this grand wheel turning. Without interruption. My greatest ability are maybe comprehension, sometimes not patience. Courage for sure. Pride, which could go either way. But there's a far more effective learning tools on how to use your mind, how to throw objects across the room is not important. First, we need to crawl. Sometimes crawling is all you can do, and if that's all you can do, you need to do that. And it appears that many have the wrong ideas of even how to start this activation, if you will. But comprehension is key here. You must look for inconsistencies. And through this ability, you will see the thickest veil. Because they tell you no mortal can achieve this. It must be a demigod to go through the trials. But let me tell you, you have gone through the trials yourself. Various degrees, of course. But our parents have been so abused. Our grandparents have been so abused. Our great-great-great-great-great-grandparents have been so abused. And we need to look at what brought the fear into the sphere. It's important because we need to finally get rid of it before our world is in rubble around us. And I wanted to know, everyone to know, that the major advancements that are coming out, that we all need to make personally, are just a way to get away from the worst case scenario, but still prepare for it. Then, of course, if these activities are stopped by higher forces, then I have only made myself stronger. If you sit around and do nothing while expecting someone else to just handle it, then you have not understood the sphere of fear and the lesson it has to teach. It's a rough lesson, not just to ingest the information, but also to be the one to bring the information to the communities at large. I find I use the 3-day method, 3 nights, after I've totally put things together. It always gives me a very strange sleep. We're anxious. Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to play a little piece of music for you from Daddy.
Oh, sometimes things don't go the way you want them. Feels like you're rolling downhill, going straight on down to the bottom. Well, one thing I know about the blues, a lot of folks had 'em. Oh, they got 'em to lose. There are people everywhere living in a world of hate. They ain't got no money, held down by the hands of fate. Rich folks give advice, oh, but that ain't nothing new. Putting money where their mouth is, that's the last thing they wanna do. If you don't have nobody, get you through tonight. If it feels good, if it feels good, alright, then you're happy. Oh, you're happy. Looking for happiness. I'm looking for happiness. I've been looking for happiness. Just looking for happiness.
So that's my dad. I'm so proud. I am just so very proud. And this is what I'm talking about. Do you think when one person does well, it does not affect everyone? We don't know the ripple effects of healing. I think it's possible, and now not outrageous to say, when one person in a family does well, everyone feels that. And we all ripple back to the one, the first here, the Waters, who I've called Luca. Interesting name. Well, actually, scientists called her Luca, and I'm like, oh, you're going for the Lucy effect, are you? King of the world. Oh, boy. But the mother. When we feel stronger, it affects. I've been following Cash, and you guys know that I have, and made some devices that are now starting to take effect in the building that I live. I've been really subtle about asking people, because there are some things that you have to keep veiled, especially with the power struggle that's going on this planet. You get beat down for doing a good job. The better you do, the more you're attacked. Yesterday, you guys know that I haven't been feeling well. Yesterday my son came over and helped me set up my living room so I could make it my workout area, so I could sit and watch TV and use my little bike and stuff. I told my mom that I was looking for some kettlebells, to start getting my buff going. And she dropped them by today. But you could see the pride in their eyes, that even though they know that I've been knocked down, that I haven't given up. It affects us. It does. And we are, like it or not, one family. And I think all of our people knew this. When you see the images of totems and see how we all did that, we were trying to tell each other our connectedness. We were trying to show each other what we are, how connected. It's so important. And, this awakening, this opening, it does not come easy. And it is not gentle. I know that my body is extremely anxious on the things that I'm trying to do right now. Still calculating ramifications, I guess, of what I've learned. But this is physical and this is mental. This is both. But the time we were waiting for is here. It draws nigh. And I will itemize things to show you how the mind works, how it accepts the prison, which I think the pyramids were. I think it was a prison. That's why there's always a freaking red door that says, don't open this shit. Basically. They're not as crude as I am. But there's always a door in there. And there's always a warning that these things had something in there, because we've been fighting a battle for a very long time. Our mind accepts this prison that has been created through institutionalization. This, of course, leads to how to break out of that physical prison, that red door. So let us first imagine a very complex information, like a very heavy weight. Lifting such weights gives strength to the mind, body, and soul through stress. And as long as it does not collapse under that weight, you keep going. And sometimes we do collapse under this weight. This is also why so many are here to spot you, or to hold part of the weight until you can do it for yourself. Then it becomes light, and you can then spot for others. You know what I mean? It's a fact that people are looking for real simple answers to the situation. And nothing can be more misdirective, I guess. There are at least two major reasons why, once we finally recovered a great deal of information, it would not be possible for it to all be positive. And unless, of course, you become a master at changing your perspectives as well, this will be an important tool on your path, because you are here at this time for a reason. And the first reason is to answer. Well, the answer to our situation would not be simple. We are not simple beings. We are complex. And our entire living structure shows how much thought and imagination has been put into it. You would have to seriously begin to access records, instructions, knowledge available on Earth to even begin to comprehend this. And this is why we have the internet. This woman, Earth, is not simple, so don't perceive her to be as such. For sure, there is a frequency broadcasting around the world right now to keep people in denial and to cripple you physically. If they hear anything that steers too far from their normal false teachings, they immediately freeze up and go in on standby mode. And this is in part due to to their mind, body, soul not having the energy to process the information. So don't get frustrated. Everything is using their energy except them. The kids, the job, the husband, the wife, etc. Everything is using you a little bit. When people hear very complex things these days, because they loathe being taught, they definitely do not want to go back to school. They are rushing to get out of there in the first place. In addition, it takes more of an alkaline body, which is natural in many, for such things to make sense, as the thoughts must fire to different regions of the mind, connect with other things that the person has stored, and then come to a conclusion. Again, most don't have the energy for this. This is why we help them. This is why, in my house, what I have now is a little humidifier. You know, the thing that spews water into the air? With some GANs in it, and with one of my copper coils that I have fired to use no caustic, I've used what our ancient people knew all over the world, that this is why we light sage. You take burnt material. This is probably even why we cook. Ashes. You put a metal in the ash. You can mix those ashes with a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar. I use maple syrup. Doesn't matter. Set that out in the sun so it'll burn again on a little bit of tin foil. I put that in my humidifier. I turn it on. That's it. Super cheap. My energy bills have finally gone down. I was complaining. Well, you guys know how I whine. But how expensive it had gotten here. Well, last month I got the lowest hydro bill I've ever had in this place. And I got the lights on. I got the computer going all the time. I'm playing music. I'm using everything. And quietly, subtly, slowly, like little drips, people are starting to say, geez, it's really weird. I'm not paying as much. Oh, hydro, that's our electricity. It's funny, Dad's new label is called Electro-Fi, F-I. I laugh. See, this is where I get this information from, or at least the direction on which to look. So, it's still a problem with energy, isn't it? And so, if I have a little bit more, I share. I don't make a big deal about it. I haven't gone downstairs and told everyone what I'm doing. Haven't told the world what I'm doing. Just doing it. We should naturally know, just like an investigator. If you are following a trail of blood, it will eventually lead you to a mutated body. Mutilated, not paradise. So it's the same thing here. We've been on a trail of who is causing all the wars, who is trapping us in this limited potential, even though we know 100% no, we have these abilities to activate. Who is hurting the children with uranium? Who is spewing and screwing with our lives? We know this. We have now reached the answer. This is what they do not want you to know. We know this now. We don't have to keep saying it, I guess. We could, if we wanted to. But many times going through the occult works, I stumble across information that's very deep. Still, I would always say this is still not enough to have such an elaborate system of hiding things. It can't be it. The information was just not that valuable to basically suppress the whole earth from discovering it. Except this made me even stronger. We have gone at least one step beyond the controllers, what they expected us to be able to do. This information has been naturally protected because few want to risk revealing it. They are concerned about facing rejection from elders and peers and pupils alike. More akin or more alike than any alien threat we could look at. It is a good thing that I'm not here to just satisfy people. I'm here for the truth, personally, so I know how to carry on my existence. And I have promised, if I found the truth, that I would let other people know. I spoke and have been speaking that there appears to be a frequency broadcasting that tells a person that that is not true, amongst other things. This goes for anything near the truth. It started hitting me the other day that they must have turned on the device. I don't know. Maybe I'm immune to bliss. I started thinking, or they had me thinking, I should say, is this really real? Right then a commercial came on the radio and said, are you young, talented, outgoing? Do you work great with people and have a unique way of communicating? We are looking for smart, ambitious people with amazing charisma to join our, drumroll please, sports book company. So there you have it. They are asking for the best of the best and are most talented to basically call people around the world to ask them if they want to gamble. That settles it once more. Something very off is going on here. These people think something good is happening, but things are getting worse. As now the human race capitalizes on itself, degrading itself, its citizens, its children, its animals, its air, its plant life. We know the reason. It's because people are getting more and more toxic. And they're going to crash this sphere into a lower one if they don't clean themselves up. This makes the people the final cause to the situation not getting fixed. Not the cause to how the situation started, of course. And that's very important to distinguish. The collective frequency of people is making this sphere denser and denser. Let me explain. This is just like very early in the morning. You are in bed, but you have to get up. The normal feeling which occurs is the body wants to get a little more sleep. First, you should already know that if we did not have bodies, we would not need to sleep. This is the flesh body that needs rest, which is why you need less sleep the more the body gets tuned. and in shape. So think gem, Jim, your crystal body needs to go to the friggin' gym. And while you were asleep in the world closest to your natural habitat, so of course the mind, the body, the soul does not want to wake up. The dream world is more real than what we are living. The mind is immersed in a much more entrained world, although many don't remember that. The body is being pushed all the time in this physical life, so it remains tired in most cases, being deprived of sleep. The soul itself is also tired of the fake waking reality and is starving for pure energy that it can actually grow rather than be poisoned. All this spells stay asleep. This is what's happening on a deeper level. And the reason that they haven't told us why we are so hairless. I know it sounds like I'm going right off, but why are we so hairless? We're not in the water. We are hairless because we are light eaters. We weren't supposed to consume the way we are. Our bowels, even though it's miles and miles long, are not long enough to digest fruits and vegetables. It's not. Look at an ape. They've got these big bellies and they're friggin' hecka stronger than us. We have light bodies. We need the sun. We need the plants, but not in the way that we're using them. We need the animals too. These are our totems. They're telling you specifically which animal you need to bond with. We are not an accident. We are the light beings. This is what they don't want to tell us. One has to physically wake up to go to work, to go to school. Which means they do remain asleep on a deeper level. The body may be awake, but the mind and the soul stay in standby mode, switched on a hold. This gets to the meat of what I'm trying to speak of. We are inside a sphere, in a toxic atmosphere, atmosphere, because it is saturated with dense beings not willing to raise up. The lower vibration of fear has permeated just about everything. Why? Now a simple answer. What is inside the bubble? I remember a movie as a kid about a boy inside a bubble. He was so sensitive to everything that if he happened to ever come out of the bubble, he would die. So he was told. This is exactly what is happening. People are so sensitive, so used to having it all explained for them and then shown to them, so used to the comfortable that has been brought about by domestication. We have been domesticated to an extent that they fear the unknown that is outside the bubble. They have lost their adventurous personality that they used to have as a child, when we are perfect, before we are pierced by the sword, or the hand, or the Bible, or the teaching, the indoctrination. So they have accepted this whole experience as their last one. In this state, they are coming back because they have not pushed through the norm to discover anything real beyond this dimension. Society has attempted to break us from our ideas of discovering what is new. And in many cases, they've won already. However, as souls, this is simply not who we are. When you come into this world as a child, you are an explorer. We've seen it. We have been it. You have such a desire to go on treasure hunts, secret caves, discover strange things, fight off evil. All childhood is filled with this. Society moves in and begins to break the new being. This is why our firekeepers, our males, are in general tortured at birth, because the doctors already know there is no reason to cut the foreskin. There is no reason other than our beings, who are the combined beings, the male and the female, they need to be destroyed first. Do you know that on this planet, the most spontaneous abortions are male children? And even though we've been told that it's the female that's getting killed on this planet, who's getting killed, aborted, are the males, even on purpose. It's male children that are being killed. And if they survive that, they're being traumatized at birth, tied down, mutilated. This is to break them from the beginning. This was devised more heavily in Germany during and after the First World War, a way to get control over the minds of people by starting with the children. 1 or 2 generations would pass, and then the most diabolical things would happen, because there would be virtually nobody to stop the brainwashed children becoming adults. Then, by the time the person is in their 20s, they have a fear of breaking the law, a fear of being poor, a fear of not being accepted, etc., etc., etc. But as a child, none of that stuff mattered whatsoever. You were light, you were carefree, you were fearless. They wanted to stop even the memory of you having that by traumatizing our parents more and more and more, so that we could not bond with our children. So we handed them over gleefully to the state. And this leads us to the solution to fear. To remember, if you can, the times that you did not have this thing. To contact the inner child, which may be different, may be difficult. It's more like daring than the reined-in adult. Once again, embark on missions to discover new expanses, to allow consciousness to flow. This should be a game. It should be fun. The world is in desperate need for these types of people, as we have some challenges that must be overcome. We are running out of physical room in this bubble, and that is subconsciously leading any person with common sense with the notion that such things will eventually lead to a big problem. If not their own selves, then for their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, for the 7 generations next. We always knew 7 was a big deal. It makes one ask, what did the world do last time it got into this situation? The answers don't look very promising, as when things got over our heads last time, the solution became depopulation. I still believe groups of people, such as those who have found the remains of everything, they have not the people themselves. They have already discovered how to do what we are on the brink of discovering right at this moment. It's how to travel using the soul to other planes free of fear. In discovering those planes, the fear on earth will lessen. The negative beings in service to the controllers will have no place, as they cannot remain in this new frequency. It will manifest as simply people not being concerned about the negative beings anymore. All of our best tales, the final battle, is not us picking up a sword, which is a cross, turned upside down. It is from us turning away. The people will then have power. Because of the recent lesson, they will know how to use it. Anyone misusing power will have the majority to deal with. They will not go unchecked. This is in all areas. This isn't just dimensional. The physical environment will change as confusion is put to pasture and clarity moves out. That's it. People will follow those that are brave and gain courage themselves, vanquishing the fear frequency. The mental environment will change as people will gain more expansive information first and imagination. Overcoming the fear, unlocking their innovative imagination to repair this amnesia. And remember what we came to do. I know this sounds weird, but there's a group of us who have always come at this time to do this thing. This whole spiritual paradigm will change as we gain control over this reality and allow ourselves to once more be united in essence, that we came from Earth at some segment. Thus we are family. Then we enter the universal community. Not until then. And this is not an assumption. This will happen just as you are sitting here right now in front of the computer or smartphone. I know how these lower life forms operate now. I know how they are trying to keep us as people in confusion. Confucius. Think he was smart? Clever is not smart. We'll go into him another time. But if I don't do it completely while living in this world, I will finish it when I come out of this body permanently, and there will be many with me, because I have already connected to those people. And they are right here with me right now. We will continue to grow daily on the material and on the astral. We want Earth fixed. So we have made the decision to do it ourselves. No more waiting. The earth will go on without us. She has time and patience. But if we do not fight for her, she will choose another group of beings. And in times past, the courage of men and women have been called on. And often this has been for the wrong reason. You can only imagine when a small village knew the Roman legion was on its way, how they may have felt, especially the soldiers. However, in many of those small villages, those Romans got more than they bargained for and had to run. It was because of the spirit of the people. Sword cannot cut through it. So they build a more decisive trap for those kind of people. One that uses a person's own energy to wear them down. This is fear. We have now discovered that device, the pentagram, how it works, how to overcome it. Keep in mind, the pen is more powerful than the sword, and it uses our energy against us. How it does this is through our laziness and suggestive programming, of course. This body, in its design, basically allows us to interface and to be interfaced with. This has so far worked as a disadvantage, as the consciousness of the masses is dull and affects everyone on this planet. Right now, the planet is afraid because it has been misinformed and lied to, and it knows it. I mean, take a look at the Constitution. Is there one truth in there? Seriously. When you start throwing charged up people reeking with truth coming out of them like organ into the batch, things start to change really fast. It's like the 100th monkey thing. Here's what you should know. The sphere is shaped like a dodecahedron. It is around the body. It is around the earth too. This dodecahedron can make all the other Pythagorean shapes because it can be affected. It can affect all shapes. We were always of the shapeshifters. That's what it meant. Use this to your advantage. Remember, you are not only this body. It is just a vehicle. Take care of what you ride in. This is your ride. The real situation, one cannot come before the other. The two never appear without the other, somewhere close. The problem and the solution. I also wanted to put some things here about the situation so everyone can see clear in real time what consciousness is, where it needs to be, how to respond to those that have deluded someone with authority. And you can hear it. Your whole body tenses when you hear them speak to you. You know it. When you show strength, it creates that within. If you show that you are unsure and waver, you send mixed signals. So stay focused. Like a laser, not like an elephant gun. Don't shoot wildly. brothers and sisters. If you must pull that trigger, be precise. We know what to do here. We've always known. We've always known. Now, later in the week we will discuss this friggin' fantastic book called Finishing the Mysteries by 7 Star Hand. It's an amazing piece of work. I mean amazing. I put up a revised version of how to overcome the archons, the alien archons, and this physical prison. If you have time, you might want to take a look. I put it up today. And I think someone needs to send a fax to the moon and tell them to turn that shit off. We have a magnetic overload happening here already. We've had enough. Truth is before us, and personally, I'm not kidding. The total situation about this dimension, we need the problem and the solution. There's a lot to know. But we've already braved it all together. Once you fear, you are still here. You are still here right now listening to this. So what value does emotion of fear really have? It's fake. It's an illusion. But forgot telling you, I'm going to show you how it's all wired. And I have pictures. And this is for those who wish to govern their higher self. I cannot hold back these advanced inner beings, also turning in and ready to be in the know. When we take a step, it actually appears. This is how we are going to roll. Modes of existence, speed of ranges. These things are all true. They're all right here, right now. And we can escape what they've done to us. Absolutely. I'm not afraid. I'm looking at the time though. I'm trying to figure out, do I go into the next thing or to stop? What am I doing? What's going on? We have a long history of removing the oppressors. And I found a very cohesive script, and it was a joy for me to read. Many questions had been confirmed and answered. I got a very clear feeling that we have other versions of us on this dimension, that we are working on this particular part of this grand awakening together right now. And it's become clear to me why people are so attracted to certain symbols and will defend it with their lives now, although they are quite unclear of what it truly means. And now you get to the true meaning behind the symbols, why they resonate with us so deeply. And it will be my pleasure to introduce the work of 7 Star Hand to you. He's a most enlightened individual with true integrity. Wonderful to read, because this document, which I will start for you Thursday, Finishing the Mysteries, Revision 3, will give you exactly what you need right now in light of the current situations to gain yet another firmer foundation to dig your little heels in. I feel so fortunate in this role that I can be there for you, providing this chunk of totality, because it's friggin' awesome. And I've also included, and this is on the site as well today, called Finishing Mysteries 7-Star Hand, a side study of the Vaticanus. At the end of this, declassified Vatican document. Did you know they had classified ones? So related to the known prophecy of the Saturnian deception carried out by the papacy. It's clear to me now the direction of the disturbed flux. And as their days are numbered and are expiring, as of right now, the beast must be laid bare and dragged about the streets. Reapers will no longer sow. And the Vaticanus note, a very particular thing happened with this particular text. Each scribe that copied the text, and there have been at least 10, including Nostradamus, have been responsible for depicting the creatures and the scenes exactly as they've been shown in the original. Like the bear, which is Russia, and also California, just surprisingly has the bear as a flag. Shows a picture, the bear subduing the first bird, feminine. Traces trouble from the soldiers due to desecration of the mother. Subdues more beasts, groups, nations, peoples, holds the key of knowledge to itself, gains disciples, makes pacts with the serpent. Well, the three serpent. I'll get into that either. Gives keys to the Pope, the man serpent, pierces the lamb, which foolishly brandishes his kinship, creates an idea of an invisible kingdom of reward, places the power of the fates in it, all out of mysticism that he made up, gives keys to the Green Maiden through divine inspiration, faces a new, much more intrepid and equipped foe, enter the dragons, becomes a lowly beast on the vine, or the vein, remains king over his original generation. The doctrines merge to create a false balance. The deception continues, spewing upon the youth and the magical, like Disney. Laws, edicts, decrees, and bulls are formed, heads that go forth and conquer. Man is yoked, harvested. Hermes, sun, flight, has been stopped by the removal of his leg, which is something he used to do, and break the heel so you could never run again. Consultation takes place in the hierarchy. Marks, covenants on the hands are already received, and this is old text, guys. Bloodlines share the kingdom. Agreements are made by hidden hands. Canaan is granted rulership over the 3 kingdoms, but serves. Youth enters into the council, possibly Lucifer. A maiden shares the kingship. Rejuvenation is offered by the Grail Maidens, the Red Queen. The Red Queen is also the Red Dragon, and at the end remains in service to the hidden hand. In many cases, certain scribes use a different animal, such as Nostradamus's kind of substitution of a peacock for the phoenix. However, In the cases with occult lure, these birds play an exact same role, closely enough in relation when the stripping the tails or titles apart from the word meanings. I've noticed, though, the variations from land to land. Same story. I've included links to other scribes and just posted the 2 best references. I have the entire Vaticanus collection on the page. Now lastly, there appears to be a dispute over the final order. It's all here, it's all in writing, and this was planned. So I'll tell you all the story on Thursday. Thanks for listening, guys, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.